Welcome to another episode of Not for the Weak Minded. It's another live broadcast, and let's wait a minute, I suppose, see if anyone comes in the room. And I'd like to talk about BABEL ON, really, and what it really means. So today, we have been taught false principles, and everything we think we know is a lie. And essentially, you need to rebuild your foundations on truth. And that includes ancient history and recent history. Now, can you hear me okay? Let's turn this up a little bit. But essentially, as I was trying to say in my other videos, we need to put time back in its rightful place. And they've never really told you about the contribution-based society that existed in the past, that lasted 1,000 years, that was built by women, you know? And that is kind of, thank you, that is kind of how you're going to have to kind of see today and understand how the people in charge have not really told you the truth about the ancient past, essentially. Now, Babylon, according to scripture, was a one-world culture of sin. And essentially, this has to do with Rome as well, and trying to put that together in a comparison to today and our past today. So this is kind of the hardest part to explain to everyone, is that when you look at the technologies, for example, what the Romans were using, and see how that progressed through time and the areas that they took over, and then what came from it after, you'll realize that there's been a massive misconception about that too. You know, for example, they talk about Roman concrete, but in all intents and purposes, Rome didn't build stuff with concrete. They built small bricks, and it was only later on that came with it more knowledge, more you know, the spreading of an empire like we have today, built by Freemason, Templar, Illuminati puppets. You know what I'm saying? So these souls are the same, essentially come back from hell through the guise of science today. And essentially the elites have let these demons in, and they're the same souls that got washed away in a previous epoch, geologically speaking. So Babylon was, in all intents and purposes, the end of Rome and the beginning of a new world religion, which swept the earth and caused the earth to be flooded. Now in the Bible, it says they're never going to flood the earth again. And essentially that's kind of another way to look at what the elites are trying to do with weather modification. They're actually creating the flood scenario in a way as part of depopulation. And that's kind of, again, because they're bitter about the things that what happened to them. They got sent to hell for sinning, living in a one world culture of sin. And essentially this is just around the corner as well, because of the laws being things being shined in law coming from the United Nations. And so I got a piece of paper in front of me, and I'm just going to roughly put together what we're going to talk about today. So essentially we're going to talk about false idol worship, celebrities, pedophilia. Hello, I'm good, thank you. To be honest, I'm a little nervous about doing this, because it's extremely hard to discuss without actually seeing the physical evidence. But essentially I would hope that in the near future, I will bring that evidence forth to you. It's just time's very consuming when I've got multiple projects on the go to do with everything at the same time. And so this is kind of where I'm going. I'm going to get a whole comprehensive theory about everything to do with ancient history, and how that's incorporated into how we believe a lie today. Everything. Absolutely, yeah. It's difficult, you know. It's not easy to put everything back in its rightful place when you've not even incorporated things that have never been told to you about the ancient past or scripture, to be fair. And so we're going to talk about false idol worship. We're going to talk about celebrities. We're going to talk about the Catholic Church and how they're not Christian, and essentially their agendas to androgynize civilization, you know, particularly in the Western civilization today, when the laws are being put in place to teach LGBT children. The fact is that you see on the television every day now. Yeah, that's it. So today you see on the television like children that are being portrayed as some smarter, you know, that they're seeing more adult, and this is to do with making the masses accept pedophilia. As I said in other videos, if you're not seeing their agendas from and understand that that's to do with emulation of creation, but also to go against it while they lie to you about it and then use that knowledge to kill everything that's created, it's crazy, right? You know. Yeah, I mean, vaccines is just a small part of why humanity today is seriously sick. Just like we're breathing in aluminium and barium and nano smart dust spread through geoengineering over the last 40 years, you know? Why the forest fires across the earth are no longer wood fires. They are metal fires because of the spreading of particles. And obviously those that are awake today know that that's part of something to come. But to explain how they're going to use that and the scenario which comes with it is, again, something very difficult. But it does have to do with New Age religion, the whole world believing the lies today and continually incorporating scripture to make them believe something which can never be true. It's crazy. Good. You know, it's good that people are waking up to the fact that, you know, 1 in 2 of us today are going to get cancer because of the things we're eating, because of the food the fluoride in the water and the toothpaste. And yeah, so I actually did a post about that today on Facebook, yesterday, sorry, about how there was this guy that basically tested the genes of people that had the kids that had what's the disease? It's not disease, but the men's mind's messed up. And essentially he found that they had free DNA. They had 3 strands of DNA. And that basically, this kind of proves that they're putting aborted fetuses in the food. This is the age of cannibalism. It's the return of cannibalistic ideologies on the television, i.e. zombies. You know, the fact that in any crisis that comes, all the suggestiveness wants you to react that way. When we're going to go, look, hands down, that's not where we want to react. You know, I'm not going to go out and eat people. I'm not going to go out and rob people for their money or because I haven't got any. You know, that's what they want. They want you to be continually a slave to a system of corruption that's lied to you your whole entire lives about everything, you know, possible. And yet scripture tells us these things, that revelation's coming true, you know, and it's full of prophecy. And yet those things have come true. And people still don't kind of twig that there's something more to it and how that relates to frequencies and the 1,000 years of peace and prosperity across the earth. You know, how the stars were higher level, and that because of that, literally there was no hate on the earth. No, you know what I mean? Because the stars didn't permit it. You know, the demons cannot exist in this higher level of existence while we are raising our consciousness and building a selfless society. So today, the hadron colliders across the earth are actually battling the stars to lower the frequency of the earth. Yeah, that's just the thing, right? Is with prophecy is that if it's foretold, then these things are meant to happen, right? But that doesn't mean necessarily you're in a program. It just means that people saw it in the past, right? As spiritually, they could see the future, you know, and that's where prophecy comes from, in understanding that the stars were higher level frequency and that there was 1,000 years of peace and prosperity, and that spread across the earth, and that created a one world culture today. And that's another thing about history that they've never told you about, which is like the destruction of all the free energy buildings. You know, for example, there's some of them are still standing today. You know, how they were built to produce free energy, the places of power across the earth, the grid system, but they've destroyed it. You know, while building their own, which is kind of part of where we're going with this topic today, to do with the the sign of the times. But essentially, they have created this scenario where if the power goes out and the monetary system goes, the people still enslaved in that system who know no otherwise will kind of accept that the elites are the saviors of the earth through technologies. The fact that they're going to turn off the power and they're going to give you free energy from low Earth orbit. You know, the sun, China's new moon in 2020, the fake ass holographic sun, all the stuff that they've been putting up there in low Earth orbit, plus the spreading of nano smart dust to literally control humanity with 5G. So all these things are part of understanding revelation as well, you know, and that these things are coming about because of our ignorance to creation itself. So let me just read your notes. Okay, no problem. It's okay. So essentially, other topics we're going to talk about is the fake Jews, which mentioned in prophecy in Israel, you know, in Jerusalem. Now that's not the Israeli people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not anti-Semitic at all. You know, they're regular people just like us. In fact, that it has to do with the 7 races of humanity, the 7 continents, you know what I'm saying? And how that notion comes into the stars too. And there's 7 clusters around the earth, geocentric rings almost with the stars. So there's something to do with 7 days in the week, 7 races of humanity. But essentially in these days, we've been all brought together to create actually a subspecies. And this is kind of where you see in the interracial stuff on the television too, that this is part of their agenda, which is mad. Yeah, I mean, any denomination today is being fooled. Every denomination, whether that's, you know, the Church of Mormonism, Satanism, Scientology, Catholic Church, every single one of them is deceiving their followers with scripture to go against creation, not knowing that those people themselves are created, you know, with principles, to be honest, to do with the rainbow and frequencies in their body, their chakras, and how that aligns with the stars, and how basically with truth you can increase your frequencies to actually to take part in this great battle, of which most people don't realize they're in. You know, that they're in a great war for the morality of civilization. Absolutely, it doesn't. No, it doesn't mean just Jewish people. No. You know, but there's been labels. They use labels to get away with so much stuff. And that's kind of like how they use the English language as well. You know, I mean, the English language is the tool of the devil in all intents and purposes. We've bastardized the world with our beliefs. And it's not the English people's fault that they were manipulated. And certainly not, you know, when most people during those times, say World War I and World War II, didn't know really what we know today about the sickness which comes from the top down, and how that is something that should make you go, I want to fight against these people that have told us lies for centuries. So other topics we can talk about is how, for example, in Britain, Zionism took over our resources in 1917. And so basically the English flag and the Polish flag, that of the red and white cross, is a sign. The red and white symbol is a sign of sacrifice. So our countries were sacrifices, and nation was put against nation to create this civilization today, which has gone on to basically enslave the whole world in an economic system of lies. You know, that the fact of the matter is that if you take if we don't take the mark of the beast soon in our hands, that we won't be able to buy or sell anything. And then what we're going to do for money and food? You see, this is the situation we all face, because this great divide is taking place, and the people on this side, which is, you know, knowing and seeing, we need to come together and go, right, okay, what can we do? We're not the Gentiles. No, the Gentiles are the banking elite, mate. You know what I'm saying? They are the pedophiles that run our civilization. But it's not just, you know, humans. The human perspective is also alien as well. You know, the fact that the reptilians now transhumanize the Greys, for one. You know what I mean? That this happened in the past and it's happening again. But it wasn't really in a time where what we call us, but it was more giants, you see. But they're still human, because that's where we come from. We come from the giants. And it's complicated because that involves understanding biblical history in a different perspective completely, you know. And the fact of the matter is that this whole place was engineered, and that there's only seas, lakes, and rivers in the past, you know, and that the oceans today prove that the earth was flooded without a shadow of a doubt, you know, and that there's culture underneath the sea. But essentially, this is why you need to know about Rome and Babylon, how they created a one world civilization of sin, and how that's coming back again through the United Nations laws and all the other religions around the world, with all the false idols like Kanye West. To be honest, mate, I can't wait to get it done. But I'm waiting for paper. I'm waiting for the paper to be delivered, and I seriously want to get it done. You know what I mean? I want to get this done, so I can actually work on the principles of the maps as well. You know what I mean? I can work on the theories, which I've been working on, but I can't do it until I know which one's right, and then build upon that. And I seriously can't wait to finish it. I can't. So Rome was a precursor to Babylon in the past. And Babylon essentially was the time of the giants. And it was a one world culture of sin, as I've said before. And they got washed off the face of the earth, essentially, by the gods. Now, today, they're using weather modification against us for depopulation. That's the elites, of course. And then I know I said at the start, I think that's to do with revenge as well. You know, that the fact that these beings got washed off the face of the earth, and then when their souls were judged, they hate creation because they didn't accept the fact that they were created themselves, you see. So every time you speak truth, these demons shudder, absolutely shudder. They hate you for it. You know, they hate humanity as it is. Can't you? You know, if you're awake, you know, every single one of us is in a war, you know, spiritually, mentally, and physically in a war. You know, all I am is a soldier of Christ. You know what I'm saying? Because I was born into an atheist family. You know what I mean? Rock and roll. I've got pictures of myself doing the devil horns, right? When I'm like 6, 7 years old. I didn't know that was in my mind at the time. Programming that came from the television. You see what I'm saying? So the kids today have not a chance in hell unless we literally change our civilization. You know, we got to wake them up to the programming every day. But it's not just the programming, it's the programming and the education system as well, and the people that are running it. You know what I mean? Freemasons, essentially, who are deceiving us at the same time as waking us up in some cases, you know, because certain subjects 60, 40, 50 years ago would never be approached like they are today, you know, particularly aliens, you know, that topic. You know, War of the Worlds was put out as a test, right, on the radio, and look what happened. People thought it was real and they went mad, you know. No worries, mate. Take it easy. Thank you for listening. It's a lot to go through, you know. There's a lot to go through. But essentially today, most people are in acceptance of this civilization and how it was built and why, and the lies in which created it, you know, and the fact that they're still accepting the facts that, you know, the Earth's a globe, you know, when it's not. It's, you know, it's based upon the perfect circle. So the Templars, let's try and put it in a perspective of time again, and a comparison to technologies, because that's where this is kind of how you have to see it. During Roman times, they had trebuchets, they had crossbows, you know what I mean? They had similar things to what the Templars had during their time. And then essentially what you got to see is how that then became something more later on. You see, Babylon. And that's where Roman concrete comes from. Unfortunately, that knowledge is nothing new. And you got to see how two civilizations kind of use that knowledge to build infrastructure. First of all, the good side, how they built massive, you know, places of worship with concrete across the earth as part of a one world civilization of peace and prosperity, free energy, you know what I'm saying? But then how that concrete was then, that knowledge of concrete was not used for the public, but rather for infrastructure for the elites. And so today the knowledge of that concrete is not being used by people building houses, but rather the elites that are building infrastructure and underground and their facilities, because they don't want it to be blown over. And so when you look at like catastrophes during the 1800s, the main things that stood were the churches after anything, because they were built properly with proper materials. So any house today that's got red brick is so easy to blow down in an event of, wow, most people would call it a mystery, but I call it Caesars, which is sound lasers coming from low Earth orbit. You know, and the connection to the smart meters. You know what I mean? If you look at the California fires, the smart meters, man, and direct energy weapons, it's horrendous. You know, and people still think that's the new normal thanks to global warming. Yeah, and it couldn't be further from the truth, really, could it? When you can see the bloody lasers coming from low Earth orbit. So I'm trying to get you to see that there is a comparison when you look through history of the two time periods and how that technologically went through time. It's like the age of empires. You got to see it like progression. So Rome didn't have concrete. They were building bricks and stuff like that. And then eventually, through time, they built an empire. They collected the knowledge, which then put the world in a one world religion built by the Catholic Church. Well, whatever it was called back then. You know what I mean? Which is labeled Babylon. Now, this culture was across the earth, as I said. And I found evidence from the Shetlands, from North America, in Canada, of ancient sites that have been completely obliterated, similar to Sodom and Gomorrah. And yet, if you watch the History Channel special over Christmas about Sodom and Gomorrah, the evidence which is left, right, leaves two things. It's either A, it got nuclear bombed, or B, it was an asteroid impact. Well, considering asteroids are fake, you know what I mean? It has to be the first one, which was a nuclear bomb. Now I can show you depictions of nuclear bombs. I can show you the text that the Nazis were obsessed with it, and that they through understanding like texts like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata and in the Vedic creation texts, literally tell you how to build a rocket, for fuck's sake. You know, so it's nothing new. You know, you can look at the sarcophagus lid of King Pakal, for example, and he's in a rocket. So these things are comparable to the past too. So the civilization which they're part of is actually just as corrupt as ours today, because they've lied. You know, it's the same. And unfortunately, there was a transhumanism, free energy deception then to control the species living on the earth, just as much as there's one coming in the near future, because, well, we don't know we're created. So today, all religions are a cult. Any religion's an occult, which is basically means the study of the unseen. And every single one of those people in that denomination, no matter what it is, the Church of Satan, whatever, you know what I mean? They've been corrupted. Every single one of them has been, you know, is all the houses of power are no longer trustworthy. Yeah, but yet in the past they were, because they were the ones that held the truth. They're the ones that used the truth to build all the churches across the earth to have free energy. But it's got, you got to understand how that relates to the end of the Phoenician Empire. And that was a one world trading system. It was a contribution based system built by women, just like the time in Jesus, you know, and that is relatively the same time period. You see, it's, but they never really tell you about these things. They never tell you about the 1,000 years peace and prosperity, you know, how that was built, why it was built, because they knew knowledge of creation. They knew that, you know, everything related to frequency, sound, you know, sound is key to their existence. Not just that, but the stars, as I said, were in their favor, and it's coming full circle again. So as I said, about this is about a lot of topics. Excuse me, I've got itchy head. Paedophile acceptance, essentially, and making people think that kids are more adult than what they really are, because of the programming on the suggestiveness on the television. Are you smarter than a 10-year-old? And all the other adverts. And, you know, look at Call for an Uprising's videos. He does a good job on the stuff like that. But essentially LGBT is being taught in primary schools, and that's about androgenizing the youth. So, you know, making them brain damaged. It's mental abuse, essentially. And parents literally need to wake the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, your child is going to school to get, first of all, brainwashed into a false perception of reality. But secondly, they're going to get there to be androgenized now. This is the beginning of the end for civilization if this continues. We cannot allow the children to be androgenized any further, then because it will end badly for civilization. It will. But for those people that have faith, those people that, you know, that continually to do the same things I'm trying to do today, which is speak truths about the time we live in, they're fine. You ain't got nothing to worry about. You know, you should be carefree and live your life happily. And even though you live in a great time of evil, it's very difficult for me to say these things and then to do them as well. But this is one of what we should be doing, you know. But yeah, the potentiality of World War III on the cards, with basically Trump authorizing the, you know, sanctioning of bombing the general in Iran. Now, obviously, you know, this has been going on for a long time, and these things are progressive to the point where it's gonna create the scenario where most people don't even see it coming. And sadly, living in a great time of sin, if a bomb lands on your head and you've been sinning and you haven't repented for your actions, you haven't forgive others for their transactions because you didn't know that they were manipulated just as much as you were to go against everything, they're going to go to hell for sure, 100%, you know, after judgment. So essentially there's certain rules which we have to abide by in this earth, and the New World religion is trying to erase those rules to the point where we actually accept pedophiles running our society. Right? And unfortunately, like, if most people knew that is fact and seen the true scale of it, we would crush them, because people are good in their hearts, you know what I mean? But they've just been manipulated, and unfortunately they just don't see the bigger picture all around them whatsoever, you know. And it takes time to see the bigger picture too, you know what I mean? It takes time to understand the world you live in. Not just that, but you yourself and your position within it, you know. So there's other things we could talk about, which a lot of people have been mentioning to me recently about the mud floods. Now I am going to do a new video about this, but to put the evidence together is going to take a while. But essentially it has to do with weather modification and extraterrestrials, vitrification, and great floods in the past, which it has been acknowledged but not really incorporated into most people's understanding of the past, how these the souls which are demonic have been attacking civilization for the last 1,000 years, almost, you know, to the point where we're almost now in we're almost at the point where we're going to have a one world culture of sin. So the transhumanism apocalypse, you know, is another reality, because microwave 5G energy can, with smart dust in your head, the RFID microchip and whatever chip in your brain, can control you. It will control you. So it says, do not take the mark of the beast. And obviously I'm not going to, but what's going to happen to me and others like me who refuse? Well, we're going to be attacked by the rest of civilization. You know what I'm saying? Where the point where we're going to have to accept death. That's it. You know what I mean? Death is life for the, in all intents and purposes, for the people that are awake. Because those people that aren't awake, they're going to be, well, they're going to be in a trap, and they're going to be part of the elite's solutions which they've created. You know, the fact that in China already you've got a social credit score system which is affecting millions of people, where they can't get a job, they can't travel, they can't buy certain products. And this is coming here too, you know, and a biometric data system which is part of the mark of the beast. But it's incorporating this economic beast, which is understanding the time you live in as well. And so the mark of the beast is absolutely connected with the United Nations agendas, Agenda 2130, the fact that they are trying to build a one world religion as well with the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church has, through secret societies, corrupted every single fucking place of power across the earth, bar a few. You know what I mean? And then those places are being attacked every day, like Iran and Venezuela and places like that, places that still hold certain values of Christendom, really, in Africa. And, you know, a lot of Africans still are Christian. No, I'm not saying that Christianity has not been a sin in some way or form in terms of history, but you got to see how the Catholic Church is not Christian. But at the same time, you got to see how it was a Christian organization that knew the truth, and how that's been corrupted through time. 1,000 years, in fact, you know, maybe less, but there's certain things I can't really prove to you without actually showing. But the things I'm talking about, some of you must know, right? So it says there's nowhere we can hide, and there's nowhere we'll be able to run. And so this is part of the free energy deception too, about the fact today that we can't go anywhere without being tracked. You know, even if your phone's off and you haven't even got a SIM card on it, and it's in flight mode, they'll track you. They can track you everywhere you go through Wi-Fi, essentially, or and other methods. So there is in the near future, when we won't be able to buy or sell anything, nowhere where we can run to hide from this beast, you know. And then once everyone's in this system, it's going to collapse on itself big time, because God is going to return. When I say God, I mean the gods and our creators. You know, that in the Bible, God is replaced with multiple names and other things, which gives it a lot different meaning. And you can see that no one person ever created this place, because it was designed with machines. You know what I'm saying? It has levels and intelligent design. So no, we won't be able to go anywhere. So my point is that those people that don't accept what's going on and are awake, well, the only option really is death, right? In a way. Welcome back. You know, we have to accept the facts that death is life in some way or form. Okay, speaking to the spirits recently, and I'm going to do an EVP session soon and try and explain and make you hear what I'm hearing and help you see if, you know, yourself, the spirit's talking to me in future events. But they told me that the power is going to go out in October. They also told me that there's going to be a train crash in April sometime, that Apple's citizens are actually going to interlock as well. And I can also tell you, like, for example, my girlfriend gets like sort of visions in her sleep, and one of the things she saw, which kind of relates to something she saw on Doctor Who a while back as well, is that humanity's got these chips in our brain and they're getting updated, and they literally just stand still for a second, like shudder, like an update, and then they carry on. So she saw herself that humanity is very, can be programmed, you know. And this is where artificial intelligence comes in, and Sophia, the AI robot, and how, you know, you see the videos and they go, oh, look, you know, AI is not going to destroy the world. It is if it's designed by corporate Zionists, for sure. You know, that's the fucking point. People don't know Zionism controls everything to do with their you know, everything, their subconscious mind, what they should believe in, what they should do for a living, you know. And that's going to come to an end soon, but it's going to come with it a new system, a wireless system. So when the power goes out, the people in charge, they're going to save the earth, right, with technologies. They're going to convince you that they are the saviors, and that technology all along was here to help us all by giving you free energy from space. And you're gonna love it, you know. Woohoo, free energy. Most masses anyway, they're not going to know that that free energy device, if you've got the chip in your hand, the chip in your head, is going to control you, literally. And so this is the time we live in. You know, there's no quandary about it whatsoever. So today I was doing a little bit of research into music and songs mentioning and about Babylon, and it was quite interesting to see the dualistic side of that. So you've got like the Caribbean, the Rastas and the Africans singing about Babylon and, you know, how it's evil, and then you've got other artists speaking about Babylon, and in the video you've got sex, drugs, you know what I'm saying, and all the other depravities that have come with our society, you know, alcohol, money. And so you see the dualistic side of understanding, you know, even in the music, that, you know, Babylon is mentioned, and, you know, Bonnie M, Rivers of Babylon, you know, and Zion, singing about Zion, you know, Zionism, Babylon, it's literally like that, really. So because of this great deception, which has taken place upon everybody's subconscious mind about creation of this earth, you know, ancient history, recent history, geological time, it don't matter. It's everything's a lie. Elon Musk and the people that connected to Zionism, the CIA, the front for the Zionist military, essentially, they plan to destroy the Earth with a particle accelerator 3 times the size of CERN in America. And archaeologically speaking, because Babylon was part of a one world culture, there is evidence out there, if you go and read it, that America today is Babylon, old and new. And I can show you the evidence that, for example, the Power of God YouTube video to do with where's the Jordan River in the ancient past, and how that's the Mississippi in America. You know, it's, you know, like I said, this great deception is taking place about geography as much as anything else. So yes, people believe Babylon is solely to do with just the city-state in Iraq. But in reality, it is a one more culture of sin that came from there too. You know, it came from the Middle East. It spread across the earth. So essentially, because Elon Musk is building this particle accelerator connected to Denver Airport, and you know, it's 3 times the size of CERN. That is their black hole project essentially, and the gods will not allow it. You know, they will return. They will not allow this earth to be destroyed by these demons, and they know damn well what's going on. You know, there's a time and place for everything, and unfortunately, their time to return is not yet, but it soon will be. Will they deceive you with this further? If you knew you were going to destroy the earth, and you knew prophecy was coming true, and you knew everything you were doing was a result of and would result in the return of good beings coming down to save civilization, wouldn't you then try and trick humanity to fight them? Fake alien invasion? You know, that's all I'm saying, is that obviously the reason why aliens are in the subject more and more today is because the Galactic Federation, the creators, are all different types of beings. So in a way, they're trying to actually program you, one, to realize obviously aliens are real, but two, that they're going to come from space and that they're your enemy. They're not your enemy. The enemy is the Zionists that have controlled your whole perception of reality since you've been born, about everything to do with creation. And so before that happens, I don't know, will the Western civilization be destroyed? It's hard to know exactly the timeline, which is why I've been trying to communicate with the spirits more, to try and work, asking them to help me, you know, as well as spiritually. Yes. Let me finish what I'm saying, and I'll get back to that. As well as trying to spiritually change myself by giving up marijuana, by doing meditative practices, because you know, that's something that I need to do. You know, a psychic lady told me, I don't know, a couple of months ago, that I'm ignoring a lot of information that's coming into me. I'm hearing it, but I'm not listening. And so I've got to try and learn how to listen to, not just ignore my thoughts, but the thoughts that are coming into me through my pineal gland, from the Akashic field, into my mind. So Project Bluebeam is exactly that, mate. Yeah, it's about convincing everyone that there's a common enemy, and that is part of uniting whole of humanity under one roof as well. So I can't, like I said, there's so many things going on at the same time, but it's all incorporated into this one massive fucking nightmare that everyone is ignoring, you know. And then before it be too late, they're going to be dead. You know what I mean? And well, if the Western civilization gets attacked, bitch, it's meant to, according to prophecy. You see, Russia and China, the rise of China, they're gonna bomb the hell out of the Western civilization, and it's planned. You see, I can't stress this enough. You know, you shouldn't be scared of these things, because death is just the beginning. It's just that you should know how you've been living your life, and hopefully you'll begin to say, okay, I first of all forgive myself for sinning in a time of sin. No one's perfect, but I'm going to try my best not to sin anymore and actually do what's right in a world of wrong. That's it. You've done your job. You know what I mean? And if you die, it doesn't matter. You literally, if you've saved yourself, you're going to go home to heaven. So the laws which are being enshrined today are all about acceptance of paedophilia, LGBT, transgender apocalypse as well, you see. So they're literally using all the knowledge of creation to kill creation, at the same time as lie to you about creation, so that you sin and that you break all the rules so you can go to hell. Not just that, but because your soul is immortal, your energy is immortal, your soul can be transferred. It will be transferred, in fact, into another world that they designed. It's not a joke. No, not necessarily. No, you know, I'm willing to accept death any day. any day. You know what I mean? That's all. Death is life, mate. You know. It was certain things, obviously, you need to do to prepare for it spiritually. And there's a lot of disinformation out there to do with this topic as well, reincarnation and the light and stuff like, and you know, not going to the light and stuff. I mean, there is so much disinformation, but we are of the light, you know, and heaven is the place to go, right? And if that means you literally die and go up, so to speak, then that's what it's meant to be. Or sorry, if you go through the tunnel, yeah, and that takes you to heaven, then that's right. But again, you can't really know these things until you've experienced them, or you've gone and researched other people that have had these near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences. So that line of work can bring you closer to the truth when you research it. That, you know, obviously, yes, life after death begins. That, yes, there is a heaven and hell, etc. Because people have been there, you know, but and they've died and they've been saved by Christ, and you know what I mean, in hell and loads of stuff. It's just that it's just where, again, down to beliefs too, you know, whether you want to believe them or not. That is their experience, because that's all it is. This life is all an experience to make you learn, you know, and most people aren't learning for the next life, and everything you put in this life you get out in the next. And so up to a point, right? And now we're at judgment. So we've learned, as probably ourselves, I've learned as much as possible as we can to this point. And now this is a test of faith to our Creator, which most people are failing. It is an incredible test, I give you that, you know what I mean? But in order to win, you got to know truth. And in order to actually begin to fight back in this world, you've certainly got to know truth, which is extremely hard. You know, it's took me a long time. So essentially, other things to do with it, you know, as I said, laws. So the laws that are being enshrined are not God's laws. They're the Zionist laws, which are designed and created by, you know, these fuckers that don't care about you. They don't care about your soul. All they care about is taking you to hell or taking your soul. That is it. It's both. Because Lucifer, of the light bearer, as you say, but he's also the prince of air, and that has to do with, again, the smart dust being spread across the earth. Also, it has to do with sun worship, and you know, the holographic sun simulator, in all intents and purposes, is what they worship. They worship the sun, which is actually to them it already miles back was a technological device. They knew the truth. They built it. They patented it. You know, the technological sun is exactly what it is. It's unfortunate today that they've used the knowledge of the rainbow to create the white sun, which is essentially how you work. You know, all your chakras are the rainbow, and when you come with truth, you resonate at a higher frequency, and also they create white light within you. You know, you are the rainbow. God said they gave you the rainbow, which is you. You are the rainbow. You know what I'm saying? But they're using that frequency knowledge to create a white ass sun simulator in low Earth orbit that's killing everything. And, you know, UV, high UV sun. And yet the sun before it was a technological sun built on the same principles, but using only orange and red light. You know, now I've got the proof for this, but it's too difficult for many to comprehend that this is a technological world completely, you know, built by technologies, completely by technologies. The fact that they themselves relate to technologies, you know, they are an artificial intelligence with free will to think for themselves. The fact that they're emulating everything to do with technological creation, including the holographic fake sun, and the moon that's going up in this year in China, which is all part of the free energy deception to control humanity using frequencies. 5G is part of that, you know, but it's a small part of it. The 5G is more to do with Black Death than most people realize. You know, the Black Death, if you looked into the symptoms of it, you'll see that the boils, the spoils in the skin, you know, it's exactly the same thing that's going to happen because we've got aluminium and barium inside our bodies, which we've been breathing in for like 4 decades, thanks to geoengineering, which most people think is global warming. When in reality, it's the greatest deception of all time about nature and how that's like cycles and circles and, you know, frequencies, you know, and sound. And essentially, it's so much to go through. Like, archaeologically speaking, there is a one world culture across the earth which basically got annihilated, completely destroyed. You know, it got washed off the face of the earth. There was literally, I've showed you in my other videos, giants stomping in civilization into the ground, and nuclear bombs, you know. So the technological comparison between now and then is very self-evident if you go and look at the evidence. For example, again with Rome, but it wasn't, it was probably Babylon, but they had nanotechnology, right? They were using nanotechnologies to create, so for example, there's this goblet, I can't remember what the goblet's called, the Livorian or something like that, goblet, but it's got nanotechnology in it. And essentially that means they had electricity in the past, right? Because there's no way they could have created that without electricity, nanotechnology. So everything we've been told is a lie, deliberately to deceive us today about creation and how it relates to technologies and ourselves. Excuse me. And so Babylon, unfortunately, is on the rise, and that relates to the United Nations agendas and the Catholic Church. And unfortunately, like I said, all nations have been, you know, corrupted and now are under the same roof today, bar a few. And every single one of us is enslaved into a beast economic system that is going to be used to bring in a new world order, you know, to make us suffer even more. We are all suffering. Even if you don't know it, you will in the future. You know, 1 and 2 of us are going to get cancer. It's not, you know, people don't see the fact that these problems are actually created. Everything's created. Problem, reaction, solution. So all the solutions are coming to make you believe that the people in charge are the saviors, the elites. They're going to save us with technologies. You know, they're going to stop global warming through blocking out the sun. Fucking Bill Gates, right? It's unbelievable shit. Yeah, the fucking sun's a piece of technology in low Earth orbit today, which is created from the 1960s, built in Germany in 2017, and already in low Earth orbit, where we can see the white ass sun with a rainbow coming out of it, you know, proving that they've created this device using the knowledge of sound and frequencies. And essentially that is how we operate ourselves. We are the rainbow, which is why the rainbow is everywhere today. You can't, if you're not seeing the rainbow everywhere, you're not awake, you know. And when you got to see that the duality of it is that how that is connected to us and creation, but it's also connected to LGBT and androgenizing the children today through laws which the United Nations have created through the Equality Act, when we, the people, have never been equal to those in charge, ever. You see? So this equality, it's mind-boggling shit. I can't change prophecy, mate. The solutions are just keep speaking truth and waking people up, you know? I obviously can, the knowledge which is associated with creation can be used in a good way, which is why I was trying to tell at the start how there was 1,000 years of peace and prosperity using that knowledge, a contribution-based society, matriarchal-based society, archaeologically proven, but it was a global civilization of peace and prosperity. But so we can actually use the knowledge of creation to create that. But the time we live in, the masses are not awake to it, are they? You know what I mean? They're not aware that we can have free energy, and yet they're going to want free energy when the elites say that, oh look, we're going to give you free energy. No, the chakras are part of the technological creation of us. You know, we are, in my opinion, we are artificial intelligence, which is why they're trying to emulate us. They're trying to recreate us through clones, and they're close now, very close to creating what we are really as a being. I mean, if you've watched Westworld, do you watch Westworld? That'll show you what it's really all about. But in the end, how I see this world is kind of like a game. You know, I'm playing a massive RPG. Really? So you not watch Westworld? Okay, watch Westworld. It's only 2 series. That'll show you where I'm kind of going with the cloning and understanding that we're really in a game and that kind of mentality. It's not but it's to do with technologies. So I'm really thirsty. But I think I've approached a lot of the subjects already. No problem. Watch Falling Skies as well if you can. There's 4 series of that, but that'll give you the idea of the free energy deception from low Earth orbit and the aliens stuff that's coming. You know, how humanity's fighting with aliens, against aliens, etc. It's fascinating stuff. It's everything's in the programming, you know, and a lot of it's biblical. In fact, as most people just don't see it as that, you know, because they've been programmed to believe that the Bible is a tool that, you know, was used by the Catholic Church essentially to do what they have to do. No problem. Yeah, I recommend watching those 2, Westworld and Full Glow Earth Model, which changes every 5 years anyway. You know, each one is different. It's like, well, what does the Earth look like then, NASA, if we've been out there, right? Exactly. So, where am I going to go with Babylon? Retired. So thank you very much for listening today. Again, I'd like to prove a lot of the things I'm saying, but the evidence is out there. So I hope everyone kind of got what I was talking about then. So till next time, thank you. See you now.